All right, let's jump into this.
Yeah.
Today's deep dive is all about crowd controllers.
You know, those folks making sure everyone stays safe at big events.
Exactly. Concerts, sporting events, political rallies even.
All those places where things can get a little out of control.
And you're actually prepping for an interview for one of these roles.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's a growing field for sure.
Definitely seems like the kind of job for someone who thrives in a dynamic environment.
Maybe even likes a little adrenaline rush, right?
We're going to break it all down for you today using resources from RoleCatcher.
That's a really cool platform for career development, by the way.
Absolutely. They've got career guides, interview guides, all sorts of great stuff.
We'll be focusing on their interview guide in this deep dive.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover some typical interview questions you might face.
Give you some solid strategies for answering them.
And we'll sprinkle in some insights from RoleCatcher's career guide as well.
Plus, we'll touch on how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers.
And even give you feedback specific to the job you're going for.
Think of it like having a personal interview coach right there on your phone.
Very cool. All right, so before we dive into the nitty-gritty of interview questions,
Let's paint a picture of what a crowd controller actually does.
it's more than just being a big, imposing presence, right?
Oh, way more. They're responsible for so much.
Like what?
Well, they monitor crowd behavior, of course.
Keep an eye on things, make sure nothing gets out of hand,
Right. They also control access points.
making sure only authorized people get in,
Yep. And then there's the less glamorous side of things.
like dealing with difficult or aggressive people.
Unfortunately, yeah. That comes with the territory.
And in a worst-case scenario, they might even have to run emergency evacuation.
Definitely not a job for the faint of heart.
I could see that. But it's not all about being tough and intimidating.
No, not at all. RoleCatcher actually emphasizes the importance of customer service skills.
Interesting. So you need to be firm, but also fair.
Right. Decisive, but approachable.
It's a delicate balance for sure,
Absolutely. You're dealing with people from all walks of life.
often in high-stress situations.
Exactly. All right, are you ready to tackle some interview questions?
Bring on.
Okay, so RoleCatcher has identified 8 common questions that pop up in crowd controller interviews.
8. Wow.
We're going to go through each one, give you strategies for how to approach them.
I like it. Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, how do you ensure the safety and security of a large crowd?
I'm guessing they're looking for more than just, I stand there and look tough.
You got it. This is your chance to showcase your understanding of crowd control strategies.
So we're talking proactive planning,
Absolutely. Communicating with event organizers and security personnel.
using physical barriers strategically.
Yep. And implementing effective monitoring techniques.
So it's about having a plan and being prepared for anything.
Right. And don't be afraid to get specific.
Oh, you mean mention actual strategies I've used in the past,
Exactly. Even if it was in a non-professional setting.
like organizing a neighborhood block party or something.
It all counts. It shows you can think on your feet.
Good point. Okay, so imagine they hit you with a follow-up question.
Like, can you describe a time you had to adapt a crowd control strategy on the fly?
Ooh, that's a good one. You need to have an anecdote ready
A concise, compelling story that highlights your adaptability.
and your problem-solving skills.
Exactly. Okay, so that's question 1 down.
1 down, 7 to go.
Let's move on to a question that probably gets everyone's heart racing.
Oh boy, I'm scared already.
How do you handle a difficult or aggressive person in a crowd?
Yikes. Okay, so this is where they're looking for your ability to stay calm under pressure,
Absolutely. You need to show them you can de-escalate a situation.
using verbal communication techniques,
Right.
knowing your boundaries.
And when to call for backup.
It's all about maintaining a calm demeanor,
Even when someone's yelling in your face.
which can be tough. RoleCatcher's career guide actually mentions specific techniques for de-escalation,
Really? Like what?
using empathetic language, for example. So showing the person that you understand where they're coming from.
Exactly. It's about diffusing the situation, not escalating it.
And if things get really out of hand,
You know when to step back and let trained security or law enforcement handle it?
makes sense. You don't want to put yourself or others in danger.
Exactly. All right. Ready for question 3?
Tell me.
This one brings in some ethical considerations.
Okay, getting serious now.
How do you ensure that crowd control measures do not violate anyone's rights?
That's a really important point. You can't just go around manhandling people.
Exactly. You need to be aware of legal and ethical boundaries.
So demonstrating respect for individual rights while still enforcing safety protocols.
That's the key. And remember, non-discriminatory tactics are essential.
Right. You can't target people based on their race, religion, or anything like that.
And you always need to adhere to clear, established policies.
So knowing the rules of the game, basically.
Exactly. And mentioning any relevant training or certifications you have could really strengthen your answer.
Like if you've had specific training in de-escalation techniques or conflict resolution.
Exactly. It shows you're committed to upholding the highest standards of professional conduct.
Okay, so we've tackled the first 3 questions.
All about safety handling tough situations and ethical considerations.
Sounds like a pretty good foundation for a crowd controller.
It is. But we've only just scratched the surface.
There's more,
Oh, yeah. We've got 5 more questions to go.
each with its own unique challenges and opportunities.
So stick with us. We'll break them all down in part 2 of this deep dive.
I'm ready when you are.
Welcome back. Ready to tackle some more of those crowd controller interview questions?
Absolutely. I'm feeling more confident already after going through those first 3.
That's great to hear. Now remember, we're using RoleCatcher's interview guide as our roadmap here.
And their career guide too, right?
Exactly. Those resources are packed with insights.
Okay, so where do we pick up?
Question 4.
Bring it on.
All right. How do you identify potential safety hazards or risks in a crowd?
So it's not just about reacting to problems.
No, not at all. It's about being proactive, anticipating potential issues.
That makes sense. But how do you even begin to assess risk in such a dynamic environment?
Well, think of yourself as a detective, scanning the crowd and the venue for clues.
Clues? Like what?
Well, are there any bottlenecks where things could get congested?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Like narrow doorways or hallways?
Exactly. Or are there any obvious trip hazards, uneven surfaces, things like that?
Yeah, those are easy to miss in a big crowd.
Right. Is the lighting adequate? Poor lighting can make it hard to see potential hazards.
Good point. And even something as simple as a spilled drink can become a hazard.
Absolutely. Someone could slip and fall, get injured.
So it's all about being observant, noticing those little things that others might miss.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to mention these details in your interview.
So showing that I'm thinking critically about safety even before anything happens.
Exactly. It demonstrates that you're proactive and detail-oriented.
I like it. Okay, what's next?
Question 5.
Lay it on me.
All right. How do you ensure that emergency response procedures are in place and effective in the event of an emergency situation?
Ooh, this is where things get serious.
It can be, but remember, panic is never the answer.
You need to stay calm and collected no matter what.
Exactly. And that starts with being prepared.
So familiarize myself with the venue's emergency plan.
Absolutely. Know the exit routes, the first aid stations, the assembly points.
Basically knowing the lay of the land.
Right. And being able to communicate clearly in a crisis situation.
So delivering concise, authoritative instructions.
Exactly. That can help prevent panic and ensure people move safely and efficiently.
It's like crowd psychology, knowing how people react in emergencies.
Exactly. Okay, ready for question 6?
Hit me with it.
All right, this one's a little more intense. How do you detect and respond to potential security threats in a crowd?
Ooh, okay, this sounds like spy stuff.
Well, not quite, but your observational skills are definitely put to the test.
So constantly scanning the crowd for anything suspicious.
Right. It could be unusual behavior, an unattended bag, or even a sudden shift in the mood of the crowd.
So trust in my gut feeling that something just isn't right.
Exactly. And if you do notice something off, don't hesitate to report it.
To security personnel or law enforcement.
Right away. Remember, it's always better to err on the side of caution.
Makes sense. You don't want to take any chances when it comes to security.
Okay, moving on to question 7.
All right, what do we have?
How do you ensure that crowd control measures are effective and efficient in managing a crowd?
So this is about the practical side of things, actually implementing those strategies.
Exactly. Think about crowd flow, how to direct people smoothly and efficiently.
So clear signage, designated walkways, things like that.
All of that. And even strategic placement of personnel can make a huge difference.
So having controllers in the right spots to guide the crowd.
Exactly. And being adaptable is crucial.
Because a crowd is always changing, always moving.
Right. You need to adjust your strategies on the fly based on the specific situation.
Makes sense. Okay, last question, right?
Yep. Question 8.
Bring it on.
All right. How do you handle situations where individuals or groups refuse to comply with crowd control measures?
Oh boy, this is the tough one.
It can be, but remember, it's all about de-escalation and maintaining control.
So staying calm even when someone's breaking the rules.
Exactly. And trying to understand their perspective.
So not just resorting to force right away.
Right. Try using empathy instead. Explain the rationale behind the rules.
Help them see why it's important to cooperate.
Exactly. But of course, there are times when you need to be firm.
If someone's truly disruptive or posing a threat to others,
You need to prioritize the safety of the entire crowd.
and know when to call for backup.
Exactly. All right, so we've tackled all 8 questions.
Wow, that was intense, but super helpful.
I'm glad you think so. But before we move on, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier.
RoleCatcher's AI.
You got it. Remember how we talked about how it can help you tailor your CV?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Well, it also has this incredible practice tool.
Really? What's that all about?
Well, you record yourself answering common interview questions.
Like the ones we just went through.
Exactly. And then their AI analyzes your delivery.
Wow. So it's like having a virtual interview coach.
Exactly. It gives you feedback on your tone, your pacing, even your body language.
That's incredible. So it helps you identify areas where you can improve.
And it gets even better. Remember how their AI scans your CV?
Yeah.
Well, it uses that information to suggest ways to weave your specific skills and experience into your answers.
So it's like a personalized prep session tailored to the exact job I'm applying for.
Precisely. It helps you highlight your strengths and connect them directly to the employer's needs.
That's amazing. I need to check this out.
You definitely should. It's a game changer for anyone prepping for a career interview.
Okay, so we've covered the interview questions and how AI can help us prepare.
But there's one more crucial aspect we need to discuss: career progression.
So what does the path forward look like for a crowd controller?
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll unpack that along with some final words of wisdom to help you ace that interview.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of crowd controllers.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have, from understanding the role itself,
To tackling those tough interview questions.
and even exploring how AI can give you a leg up in your prep.
Now it's time to shift gears a bit.
And look at the bigger picture.
Building a successful career in this field.
Exactly. So you've aced the interview, landed the job.
Congratulations. Now what?
Well, RoleCatcher's career guide actually lays out a pretty clear progression,
Oh, that's helpful. So where do you typically start?
usually with an entry-level position like crowd control assistant.
Okay, so you're learning the ropes supporting more experienced controller?
Right, getting a feel for the real-world challenges.
Soaking up all that knowledge.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher really emphasizes the importance of this stage.
Making the most of it, I guess.
Yeah, shadowing senior controllers, attending training sessions, really getting a grip on those standard operating procedures.
It's all about building a solid foundation.
I like that analogy. So it's kind of like an apprenticeship.
Yeah, you could say that honing your skills before moving on to more demanding roles.
Okay, so once you've proven yourself, what's the next step?
Well, the natural progression is to become a full-fledged crowd controller.
The big leagues.
That's where you're really in the thick of it, controlling access points,
Coordinating with security personnel.
making those split-second decisions that keep everyone safe.
Sounds intense.
It can be high pressure, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
You're the one ensuring that events run smoothly.
That people have a positive experience.
And as you gain experience, RoleCatcher highlights the importance of expanding your skill set.
Oh, absolutely. Things like first aid and CPR certification,
Specialized crowd control techniques.
even conflict resolution training.
It's like you're constantly leveling up.
Exactly. Continuous learning is key in this field.
Makes sense. You need to be prepared for anything.
Right. And as you climb the ladder, you might even find yourself in a leadership position.
Like senior crowd controller.
Exactly. You're not just managing crowds anymore, you're managing a team of controllers.
So developing crowd control plans, conducting risk assessments.
Making sure everyone is trained and prepared for any scenario.
That's a big responsibility.
It is. But it also comes with a lot of autonomy.
And the opportunity to shape safety protocols.
Exactly. Now, throughout this deep dive, we've talked a lot about the technical skills needed.
Like assessing risk managing crowds responding to emergencies.
But RoleCatcher also emphasizes something they call customer and personal service.
Oh, right, the soft skills.
Exactly. Because you're constantly interacting with the public.
Often in stressful situations.
You need to be assertive but approachable.
Firm but fair.
It's a delicate balance.
So it's not just about barking orders.
No, it's about communication, empathy, diplomacy even.
Like you're an ambassador for the event.
Making sure everyone feels safe and respected.
And a calm demeanor and a friendly face can go a long way.
Absolutely. All right, so to wrap things up,
We've covered a ton of ground today.
We've explored the role of a crowd controller.
Mastered those tricky interview questions.
And even charted a course for career growth.
And throughout it all, we've seen how RoleCatcher's resources can be incredibly valuable.
Their AI tools can help you tailor your application.
Practice your answers and present yourself as the ideal candidate.
But remember, it's not just about technical skills.
You need that human touch.
The ability to connect with people, de-escalate conflict.
So for our listener who's about to embark on this career journey,
Remember, preparation is key.
use the insights we've discussed today.
Leverage those tools.
And don't be afraid to showcase your passion for safety.
Your commitment to providing a positive experience for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.